welcome back. Today we're going to tackle a really big and maybe loaded word, sin. Now, I know what you're thinking, but the source material we're digging into today says that what most of us think it means, well, it's just plain wrong. And that little misunderstanding, it might just be the cause of a lot of our problems. So, let's just put it out there. What is sin? And before you jump to an answer you learned a long time ago, I want you to actually think about it. For you, right now, what does that word really bring to mind? Because, and this is the whole point of our explainer today, that common idea, it might be missing the mark completely. So let's get into it. Okay, first things first, we've got to rethink how we even look at this. The source is telling us to forget about just making a list of good deeds versus bad deeds. We need a whole new way of thinking about it. And here it is, the big switch up. On one hand, you have the common view. Sin is doing something bad, right? Lying, cheating, whatever. But this other, deeper view? It says the problem isn't the single action. The real problem is looking at what you're doing, knowing it's causing problems, and then choosing not to change. Okay, so what does that even mean, to refuse to change? It sounds simple, but the source actually gives us a really specific, really powerful definition. Boom, here it is. Sin is the conscious decision to keep doing something we know or have been told causes disharmony. The two big ideas there are conscious decision and disharmony. This isn't about making a mistake, it's about knowing something is off, that it's creating chaos or imbalance, and deciding, you know what, I'm going to keep doing it anyway. And you can't just say, oh, I didn't know. The source is pretty blunt about this. It says no honest person can really claim to be ignorant. I mean, come on, we have thousands of years of human history showing us what works and what doesn't. From huge conflicts all the way down to petty drama, we know what causes disharmony. We've seen the movie before. Which, of course, leads to the million-dollar question, right? If we know better, if history is basically a giant instruction manual of what not to do, then why on earth do we keep doing it? Why is it so hard to change? Well, the answer the source gives is kind of simple and maybe a little tough to hear. It's a lack of maturity. But hang on, before you get offended, this isn't about being childish. It's a very specific kind of maturity they're talking about. Maturity in this sense is all about perspective. It's the ability to pull the camera back from your own immediate wants and needs and see the whole scene, the greater picture. It's about understanding the ripple effects of what you do. And you see this everywhere on both a huge scale and a really personal one. Think about a country, right? The self-interest might be to hoard resources and maintain power. But the greater picture, the mature view, is that everyone does better with shared peace and prosperity. Or bring it down to you and me. The self-interest of gossip, it's feeling important, being the center of attention. But the greater picture, that's about building real trust and connection, the very things gossip absolutely obliterates. All right, so if the problem is basically tunnel vision and being stuck in our own self-interest, what's the way out? How do we actually break these patterns and get back to a state of harmony? The path, according to the source, is incredibly simple, which, as we all know, doesn't mean it's easy. It all comes down to this. Pay attention. Pay attention to your thoughts, your words, and what you do. Are they coming from a good place, or are they being driven by some selfish impulse that's just going to cause more trouble down the line? But wait a minute, right? I can practically hear you thinking it. We already have rules for this. We've got the 10 Commandments, the Golden Rule. We've had these moral guidebooks for thousands of years. If it's as simple as being mindful, why are we still such a mess? And that question, that leads us to the final piece of the puzzle, the big one. There's a hidden trap, a massive blind spot that we all have. That blind spot, it's unrecognized selfish desire. This is the absolute heart of the issue. It's this selfish motive that's so sneaky. We don't even recognize it as selfish. It puts on a costume. And sometimes its favorite costume is something we'd never suspect, like love. Okay, watch how these dominoes fall. A parent, thinking they're acting out of love, pushes their child down a certain career path or life path because they think it's best. First domino, the kid's own natural talents and passions get completely ignored. Second domino, this creates all kinds of inner chaos, anxiety, stress, you name it. And the final domino, their real growth, their spiritual development just stops. They're left feeling empty because they're not on their own path. And here's the kicker, where it all comes full circle. That continual self-inflicted disharmony, that act of denying our own true nature, yeah, according to the definition we just learned, that's also a form of sin. It's an imbalance we're creating inside ourselves, and it's holding us back. Now, this might sound wild, but it's not a new concept at all. The source reminds us that this is ancient wisdom. Think about the parable of talents. What's that story all about? It's about the absolute necessity of using the gifts you've been given, not burying them in the ground. So that leaves us with one final, really personal question. The takeaway from all of this isn't just, hey, are you a good person? It's much deeper. The real question is, are you using your innate talents? Are you creating harmony inside yourself by leaning into what you're truly good at? Or, and this is the tough part, are you, maybe without even meaning to, refusing to change, refusing to grow into the person you're truly meant to be?